The ticking in Detective Silas's wrist had become a roar, a constant mechanical heartbeat that mocked the silence of Oakhaven. It had been a year since Graft died in the flames, yet Silas felt more connected to the killer than ever. He sat in his darkened kitchen, peeling back the bandages to reveal the skin of his forearm. Beneath the translucent flesh, small brass cogs churned in a rhythmic, oily slurry. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was a prototype, a living relic of Graft's horrific vision. A new wave of mercies had begun to appear across the city, each more grotesque than the last. Silas stood with his new partner, Detective Ilara, in the center of the town square. They looked up at the orator, a local politician who had gone missing days ago. Now he was fused to the base of a bronze statue, his chest cavity hollowed out to house a massive, rotating music box cylinder. As the gears turned, his remaining vocal cords were plucked like harp strings, emitting a wet, melodic scream that echoed through the plaza. Ilara turned away, her face pale. "This isn't Graft's work, Silas. It's too ornate, too public." Silas didn't answer. He could feel the vibration of the orator's music box resonating with the clicking in his own arm. He reached out to touch the cold brass of the victim's new internal structure, his fingers twitching with a strange, magnetic pull. He knew the signature of the steel. It wasn't an imitation. It was an evolution. They tracked the trail of industrial grease to the ruins of the old cathedral. Inside, the pews had been replaced by rows of devotees, people Silas had failed to save over the past months. They were seated in prayer, their spines replaced by iron rods and their hands welded together in eternal supplication. In the pulpit stood a figure draped in heavy, oil-soaked robes, wearing a mask of polished copper that lacked any human features. This was Sterling, the self-proclaimed apostle of the gear. "The detective returns," Sterling hissed, his voice amplified by a diaphragm built into his throat. He stepped down from the pulpit, his movements fluid and silent, unlike Graft's jerky gait. "Graft was a carpenter, Silas. He worked in wood and bone. But I am an architect. I am building a city that will never die, and you are the cornerstone." Sterling held up a small, shimmering object, a key that matched a keyhole Silas had discovered behind his own ear just weeks prior. Ilara burst through the side door, her gun aimed at Sterling's head. "Drop the key, now!" she commanded, her voice echoing through the hollow ribs of the cathedral. Sterling didn't flinch. He looked at Silas, then back at Ilara, a low mechanical chuckle vibrating through his chest. "You see the flesh and fear it," Sterling said. He sees the ticking and knows it is the only truth. With a speed that defied human biology, Sterling lunged. He didn't go for Silas. He went for Ilara. Silas watched in a blur of motion as Sterling's hand, now a cluster of sharpened steel pistons, struck the detective's weapon from her hand. Silas felt a surge of heat in his wrist. The gears beneath his skin spun so fast they began to glow a dull, cherry red. He didn't think. He reacted. Silas intercepted the blow, his own arm moving with a mechanical force that shattered the stone pillar behind them. He gripped Sterling's wrist, the sound of grinding metal filling the air. For the first time, Silas felt no pain, only a cold, calculating efficiency. He looked at Sterling, and for a brief second, his vision flickered into a grid of heat signatures and gear ratios. "Yes," Sterling whispered, leaning close. "Embrace the mercy, Silas. Break the girl. She is the last of your rot." Sterling pressed a hidden catch on his own chest, releasing a cloud of caustic steam. Silas coughed, his grip loosening just enough for Sterling to draw a serrated blade made of clock spring steel. But Silas wasn't fighting for his life anymore. He was fighting for the silence he had lost. The struggle ended with the sound of a mainspring snapping. Silas stood over Sterling's broken form, the copper mask shattered to reveal a hollow interior filled only with ticking components. There was no man left inside at all. Silas looked at Ilara, who was staring at him with pure terror. He reached up to his face and felt the cold, hard edge of a gear pushing through his cheek. He didn't say goodbye. He simply turned and walked into the shadows of the cathedral, his footsteps now a perfect